Me. Greater than 28. Thought relationship steady, nothing crazy going wrong. Every day, came home, asked same question. How was your day, babe, tell me. But lately answer wasn't words, only silence. She'd stare like trapped words behind lips. Silence stretched longer, heavier, every single night. I brushed it off, first thought she tired. But weight started pressing harder on chest. Felt like I was stranger in house. Evenings became stage where nothing got spoken. Sound of clock louder than conversation daily. I told myself relax, maybe stress at work. Still deep inside felt storm brewing quietly. Silence louder than arguments cutting me apart. One night boiled water, made us tea. Sat across table waiting for her words. Eyes begged for something, anything break silence. Instead she stared down, fingers fidgeting nervously. I whispered, please just talk, say something please. She stirred spoon around cup, endlessly distracted. Eyes avoided mine, face, pale, distant, cold. I asked again, softer, just tell me. Heartbeat racing, waiting for answer, hurting inside. Finally lips parted, voice shaking, almost whisper. Only one word slipped through, breaking everything. Everything, she said, tone flat, empty completely. Air collapsed around me like falling ceiling. Sound echoed through my skull, deafening strong. I froze, staring across table, mouth dry. That single word stabbed harder than argument. Felt like world shifted, cracked under my feet. Question slammed inside head, what does she mean? Is this the end, final chapter tonight? Or is this beginning of some darker story? Room spun silent, heavy, unbearable, suffocating atmosphere. I reached out, hand across table, desperate. She pulled back slightly, tears building already. Silence screamed louder than thunder crashing outside. My chest caved in, completely underweight. I couldn't sleep that night, tossing around. Her one-word answer echoing endlessly inside. Next morning, nothing changed, silence still thick. She cooked breakfast, smiled faint but empty. Laughed at show on TV, not with me. Acted normal, but wall still stood tall. I felt invisible ghost in my own home. Finally snapped, voice rising louder than before. If you're mad, then just say it. If you need something, tell me now. My voice cracked, anger mixed with desperation. She froze, eyes wide, filling with tears. Like she wanted to scream, but choked. Instead, silent sobs spilled, streaming down face. My anger died quick, guilt stabbing me. I whispered, please just talk, don't shut down. But no reply, only shaking shoulders, crying. That silence stabbed deeper than words could. Left me broken, confused, drowning without air. Days blurred together, heavy silence everywhere. She moved around apartment like quiet shadow. I followed, begging for smallest piece of truth. Every question I asked she avoided softly. Smile painted thin lips, covering broken core. I lay awake wondering what I missed. Maybe I ignored signs earlier in months. Maybe she begged before, but I was deaf. Now punishment came in shape of silence. One night, she walked over without warning. Arms wrapped around me, tightly, warm, desperate. I froze, shocked by sudden touch completely. Tears still fresh, glistening in her eyes. She said nothing, lips sealed, pressed tight. But hug said things words couldn't ever. Second peek. Silence wasn't empty, it screamed loudly. I realized maybe her quiet was true cry. But cry for what I still didn't know. Was she begging me to stay or leave? Next morning things felt same as before. She made coffee, hummed quietly, avoiding my eyes. I sat there staring, waiting for explanation. But none came, only clinking spoons echoing. Silence turned routine, part of daily life. I felt like roommate, not her partner. House full of sounds, but none meaningful. I tried casual talk about work, weather. She nodded, smiled small, but never answered. Emptiness between us swallowed me whole inside. Late at night, I whispered into dark. Please, if you're leaving, just say it. She turned away, curled up, facing wall. Her breathing shaky, like holding back sobs. I laid awake, wide-eyed, stomach twisted. Truth felt close, but untouchable, mocking me. Silence pressed harder than screaming would have. I hated myself for craving even a fight. Anything louder than the nothing we shared. Days stretched heavy like storm clouds overhead. I snapped again, slammed hand against table hard. Say something, damn it, I can't take this. My voice raw, throat burning from frustration. She looked up slowly, tears filling quickly. Lips trembled like words trapped behind walls. But again, nothing, only silence in response. My fists unclenched, hopelessness flooding my veins. Then she stepped forward, arms around me suddenly. Face buried into chest, shaking violently, crying. Still no words, but pain poured out. I stood frozen, unsure if hug meant goodbye or plea for me to hold tighter. My mind raced, asking endless questions rapidly. Was silence hiding guilt or unbearable sadness? Every second of not knowing tortured me. I whispered, "I'm here, don't shut me out." She squeezed tighter, silent sobs rocking through body. In that moment, silence screamed louder than truth. Nights became longest hours of my life. I'd lie awake listening to her breathing, sometimes steady, sometimes breaking into soft sobs. I pretended to sleep, scared to confront. Because what if silence confirmed worst fears? Every sunrise brought same dance repeated endlessly. Coffee on table, fake smiles, empty chatter. Except no chatter, only clinking spoons loud. I missed even arguments, missed her voice. Thought maybe silence meant she was already gone. One evening, lights dim, city glow outside. She leaned against me, head on shoulder. I waited, heartbeat racing, ears begging words. Finally, she whispered, barely audible, trembling, weak. "I don't know how to explain," softly. Those few words felt like thunder striking hard. She pulled back quickly, eyes red shining. Silence swallowed room again, heavier than before. I held her hand, but answers never came. After that whisper, hope flickered inside chest. I thought maybe she'd finally let it out. But days passed, nothing changed, same routine. She laughed at shows, but never at me. Her eyes hid storms I couldn't reach. I replayed her one word, everything, constantly, wondering if that was goodbye in disguise. I found myself staring at door nightly, expecting she'd walk out and never return again. Instead, she stayed, but walls stayed taller. One night, I asked gently, voice calm, "Do you want me here or not?" She froze, tears pooling, shaking her head. Hugged me tighter, but mouth stayed shut. Second peak, echo. Silence wasn't absence, it was scream. I held her close, wondering what scream meant. Was it plea for help or warning sign? Uncertainty ate at me worse than truth. Days kept dragging, heavy like soaked clothes. I tried new ways to break the wall. Asked about movies, music, even dumb memes. She smiled politely, but lips stayed sealed. I missed sound of her laugh so bad. Started feeling like stranger living with stranger. House filled with silence louder than chaos. Late one night, I cracked wide open. Yelled, "Your silence is killing me inside." Voice broke, echo bouncing off empty walls. She flinched, eyes wide, then filled with tears. Ran into arms, hugged me, desperately shaking. Still no words, just body trembling against mine. I stroked her hair, whispering, "Please talk." But answer again was only quiet sobs. That silence cut sharper than blade across skin. I realized maybe I wasn't losing her body, but losing her voice piece by piece. And that terrified me more than betrayal. Weeks later, silence felt like another person. A roommate haunting every corner of apartment. I went to bed exhausted every night. Listened to muffled cries coming from bathroom. She thought I didn't hear, but I did. Those hidden sobs tore me apart completely. In mornings, she'd smile bright as sunshine, acting like pain never touched her face. Fake normalcy, more brutal than fight itself. I wondered if silence was her shield, or maybe punishment she gave me daily. Truth sat between us, thick, poisonous, unspoken. I held her hand across couch one night. She leaned head against me, still wordless. Eyes heavy, carrying secrets I couldn't decode. My heart begged for voice, but got silence. In that silence, I felt both loved and completely abandoned at the exact same time. One night, city lights leaked through blinds. Room dim, her shadow pressed against mine. She whispered, so soft, almost dreamlike tone, "Just be here, that's all I need." My chest tightened, hearing fragile request finally. I nodded, squeezing her hand gently tight. But deep inside, questions screamed unanswered louder. Why couldn't she share truth with me? Was she hiding guilt or broken by pain? Silence wrapped around us, thicker than blanket. I stared at ceiling long after she slept. Mind spinning circles, chasing invisible explanations endlessly. Felt trapped between leaving or holding tighter still. Chose to stay because love outweighed anger. Yet silence carved scars deeper every damn night. I prayed someday she'd open up honestly. Until then, I carried weight heavy alone. Every glance from her a puzzle unsolved. Every breath proof she was here, but distant. Next day's blurred routine kept repeating nonstop. Coffee mugs clinking louder than any words. TV shows running, but none of us laughed. Her smile's thin edges breaking too easily. I tried again, voice trembling, "Please talk." She looked at me, eyes glassy red, but shook her head, whisper stuck in throat. Hugged me instead, clinging like lifeline drowning. I held her close, heart breaking wide open. Realized silence became language we both spoke. But it was killing us slowly inside. Love without words felt like prison walls. I wanted to scream, rip barriers apart. Yet I stayed quiet, hugging her tighter, hoping maybe silence could turn into trust. But fear whispered it might turn into goodbye. My nights filled with hidden sobs again. Mornings filled with fake smiles, just enough. Cycle kept spinning, dragging both of us down. Days later, tension cracked heavier than storm. I found her sitting alone, lights turned off. Hands gripping cup, untouched, tea gone cold. Eyes staring blank like lost in another world. I whispered, please don't shut me out. She looked up, tears brimming instantly again. Lips moved, but only silence came out. Rage and sadness twisted hard in chest. I begged, just say anything, even one word. She shook head violently, covering her mouth. Then collapsed into my arms, trembling hard. Silence between sobs louder than screaming fight. I stroked her back, whispering, I'm here. But truth still locked away, unreachable deeply. That night, I realized silence was choice. Whether protection or punishment, I couldn't tell. But either way, it tore us apart. Love alone didn't break walls she built. Fear stronger than any bond we had. Following morning, she smiled at me softly. Like storm never happened night before, strangely. I stared, confused, heart torn into pieces. Wondering which version of her was real. The silent one crying or the smiling mask. Both hurt me, but in different ways. Coffee tasted bitter, couldn't swallow down fully. I asked carefully, do you even love me? Her eyes widened, tears flickered, but no answer. Instead, she reached across table, squeezed my hand. Gesture tender, but silence deafening around us. I nodded, pretending that was enough proof. Inside, screaming for words I never got. Felt trapped between hope and despair tightly. Loved her enough to stay through torture, but hated prison built from unspoken truths. Third peak. Silence became final language of our love. Not knowing if it meant forever or ending. Nights stretched longer, darkness thick around us. I'd lie awake listening to her breathing. Sometimes steady, sometimes breaking into quiet sobs. Each tear she shed without words gutted me. I wanted to hold her, shake truth-free. But fear of breaking her kept me still. In mornings, she wore smile like disguise. Bright enough to fool world, not me. I saw cracks hiding underneath her mask. Every silent breakfast felt like funeral inside. Love still alive, but trapped behind walls. I questioned daily if silence was punishment, or her desperate way of asking for help. Uncertainty gnawed pieces off my sanity fast. So I stayed silent too, pretending strong. Though inside I was collapsing piece by piece. Our apartment echoed with things never spoken. Yet somehow love lingered heavy between us. One late night, she laid against my shoulder. Streetlight glow painting lines across her face. Her voice finally broke, silence, trembling weak. I don't know how to explain it. Those words cut deeper than any betrayal. I froze, letting them echo around room. She pulled back, quickly, tears shimmering bright. Silence swallowed rest of her sentence whole. I held her hand tighter, refusing to let go. My heart begged for more, but nothing came. Silence filled space louder than thunder again. I whispered softly, whatever it is, I'll stay. She looked at me, eyes full of storms. Hugged me tighter, mouth pressed shut again. Felt like last chance slipped through fingers. Truth dangled inches away, still unreachable, painful. Love heavy but fragile, breaking us apart slowly. Silence became both glue and weapon nightly. Final evenings felt heavy, thicker than fog. We sat in dark, blinds half open. Streetlight shadows cutting lines across her face. She rested, head gently against my shoulder. I waited, heartbeat racing for words finally. Instead, silence filled room, pressing down hard. After minutes, she whispered, soft, broken voice. Just be here, that's all I need. Those words, fragile, almost begged me quietly. I nodded, squeezing her hand, heart aching. But knew deep inside answers never coming. Silence was all she had left now. And maybe all we would ever share. Love trapped inside unspoken, prison forever locked. I tried to accept, hug her tighter. Yet chest burned from all words unsaid. Uncertainty heavier than chains pulling me under. Tears slipped, silently matching her quiet cries. That night, lying awake, I heard her sobs. She thought I was sleeping, still pretending. Sound of muffled crying tore me apart. I stayed still, afraid to break illusion. Morning came, she smiled bright, like sunshine. Mask perfect, hiding storm from world again. I stared at her, wondering which was real. Smile of morning or tears of night. Both cut me deeply, leaving scars invisible. Final peak. Silence louder than words ever could be. I held her hand, but heart kept screaming. Asterisk. Silence is an answer too, remember that asterisk. But was it answer of love or goodbye? I'll never know truth buried in her quiet. All I know is silence became our story, and it hurt worse than any argument. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. Tell me in comments what hurts more, silence or words.